Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album War. Today we've got a good battle, one that I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I've actually gotten a couple requests recently from our viewers who've also called for this. It makes a lot of sense. Two dynamite hard rock metal debuts, both released right around the same time in 1989, both featuring stellar lead guitar players who had some serious pedigree before putting together these somewhat supergroups here. I'm talking about 1989's Badlands self-titled debut and also 1989's Bluemurder self-titled debut. All right, so you got John Sykes on guitar and vocals, formerly at the time of Whitesnake, Thin Lizzy, Tigers of Pantang, right? And you got Badlands, Jakey Lee, formerly of Ozzy Osbourne's band, Rat and Rough Cut. But you got other guys in the band, right? You got Eric Singer, right? Who else we got here? Eric Singer on drums, ex of Black Sabbath and various other bands. Ray Gillen on vocals. Also ex of Black Sabbath briefly, right? Worked at the Phenomena albums. Greg Chaisson, okay, who played with, Steeler and Legs Diamond and Pat Travers. He's all over the place, him as well. And then on the Bluemurder side, of course, you got the legendary Carmine Appice on drums from the Vanilla Fudge and Cactus and Rod Stewart. Tony Franklin on bass, virtuoso bass player. So two great supergroups, two great albums, both released in spring of 1989. Both getting a good amount of acclaim. Neither one a huge album or band, but both sold decently. I think in both cases, these two bands should have been enormous. They really weren't. Probably, very much appreciated today and as the years have gone on. But if we all look back on the days, it's like, these guys just kind of splintered from within. And then, of course, Ray Gillen passed away. And I think, these guys, just a lot of egos in the band, inactivity, and, not much happened after that. Another album followed this like 4 years later. These guys released another album after this a couple years later, early 90s, and then broke up. Then we had a third album, which kind of, came out unofficially or official. I'm not even sure if that was ever official. Now a lot of the Badlands catalog is basically being held up, all right, due to a story I'm not even going to get into now, but it involves some of the, activity that Mr. Ray Gillen kind of partook in when he knew he was sick with AIDS, and the record company not really liking that, so they basically kind of held up the Badlands discography. If you notice, they're very hard to get. They're expensive, out of print, no reissues in sight. Kind of sucks, right? Anyway, but let's get to the albums here. So let's tackle Badlands first. So a great album, a really good, like bluesy heavy rock album. All right, I hesitate to call this a metal album because at its core, these guys were just a great 70s style hard rock band, with obviously the modern sound of the 80s. One of my favorite albums, I think, that Jakey Lee ever played on is this one. And the follow-up to, actually, all three Badlands albums are great and feature some killer guitar playing from Jake. High Wire, one of the greatest opening riffs ever, kick-ass song, raunchy song, love it. High Wire. Dreams in the Dark was kind of like the semi-hit single from this. I believe they had a MTV video. Jade Song, Winter's Call is kick-ass. Dancing on the Edge, a nice up-tempo heavy rocker. Streets Cry Freedom, anthemic, love it. Hard Driver, Rumblin' Train, real bluesy. Devil's Stomp, a really kind of like, I just love the relentless nature of that song with a ton of groove. Seasons, killer. Ball and Chain, awesome. Produced by Paul O'Neill and Badlands, of course. Paul O'Neill, at the time, kind of the producer-manager of Sabotage, then the mastermind behind Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Got these guys signed to Atlantic Records. Great stuff. Love that album. Love it. Then you got Bluemurder, right? So, again, some great tracks on here. What do we got? Riot. Sykes, you know, you listen to this album and it's like the sequel to the Whitesnake self-titled 1987 album, just without Coverdale and Company, right? But with Sykes kind of, so you know how much Sykes had to do with the writing and putting together that Whitesnake album, because it's all over this album. So you got Riot, those great heavy riffs, Sex Child, fun tune, Valley of the Kings, epic. That's, you know, this album is much more metal than the Badlands album, I think. But as far as both being excellent, they're different, excellent. Jelly Roll, fun tune. Blue Murder, they're screaming. Blue Murder, gotta love it. Out of Love, kind of like a cool ballad with some great soloing from Sykes, and really strong lead vocals, I might add, on this album. Billy, they called him Public Enemy #1. Great tune. Ptolemy and Black Hearted Woman. All right, two other great rockers to kind of close out the album. So, what do I think? I think I love them both. That's what I think. This is a tough one to vote for here. And again, there's really no winners or losers, right or wrong, right? It's just a matter of preference, which one you like better. God, this for me is kind of pick 'em. You know what? I'm gonna go with Blue Murder, just because I think that when these both came out, and I loved them both, I probably dug on this a hell of a lot more. In saying that, I listened to Badlands, I think, more in recent times, because I played this to death when it first came out. When this first came out, I bought it on cassette, and that cassette like went with me everywhere. And I still really love this album. I think, you know, they're both great. So yeah, you know what? This is going to be a split decision, I think. So again, guys, so I had a lot of people who've asked me, what are these numbers that Pete keeps throwing out in these classic album wars? Okay, so I'm a big boxing fan. So I'm treating these like a boxing match. So I'm doing like boxing scores. It's a 10-point must system, right? 12 rounds. So each act, or each participant, if they win the round, they get 10 points. The loser of the round gets 9 points. If there's a knockout or knockdown in the round, they only get 8 points. So if and again, this means nothing, but it's just fun. So in other words, if a round has a knockdown, the guy who knocked the other guy down gets 10 points. The guy who got knocked down gets 8. If it's just a tightly contested round, but this guy probably won the round, it's a 10-9 round. Okay. If there's multiple knockdowns, it could be a 10-7 round. So whatever. So for something like this, with two albums that I think are just about equal, right? I'm gonna give kind of like, you know, there'll be some 10-9 rounds in favor of Blue Murder, some 10-9 rounds in favor of Badlands. So for me, it's going to be a split decision: 116, 114, 115, 113, 115, 114. The winner by split decision, Blue Murder. But again, it doesn't really matter. It's just me having fun, being the boxing fan that I am. But you know, you can't go wrong with either one. If there's folks out there watching the show that have never heard either of these albums, you need to. Really great. Like I said, this one is more of kind of a metallic blues rock album, you know, heavy blues rock. Okay, whereas this is more epic, kind of just classic metal, and of course there's hard rock here too. But if you kind of like that you know, Slide It In and the self-titled Whitesnake album, okay, big, huge guitar riffs, really good vocals, epic arrangements, sizzling guitar solos. That's what you get here. You know, the guitar performances from both players is off the charts here. And Ray Gillen's vocals, killer. So, you know, these are about as equal as it comes. Like I said, I'm going to give a slight edge today to Blue Murder, but that could change if you ask me next week, because I love both of these to death. So there you have it. Curious to see what you think about these two amazing debut albums from 1987. Two bands that should have been enormous, really weren't. Okay, and it's a shame. But at least we got a couple good albums from each, right, that we can enjoy forever and ever. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube every damn day. Got a concert review coming up for you momentarily. I went to see these guys last night, and I got some words about it. So stay tuned. Don't go away. See ya.